here's a big story of the day. Nearly 3 lakh Mumbaikars staying near the Sanjay Gandhi National Park are in distress. The government claims they're living on forest land and is asking them to leave their homes. This in spite of a Supreme Court order, none less than Supreme Court, mind you, asking the government to regularize the land. And to make matters worse, residents here claim that builders are using this as an excuse to go slow on their projects. Ashwini Priolker has the story.
In 2006, the Maharashtra state government changed the land records of various plots adjoining the Sanjay Gandhi National Park, labelling them as forest lands. With one stroke of the pen, thousands of people living here became encroachers, with their homes under threat of demolition. After a long legal battle, there was relief, with the Supreme Court siding with the residents.
We had to follow up with successive governments in Maharashtra to actually alter the Satbara records. Finally, after the new government took over post the elections, the Satbara records were altered and the forest name was deleted.
But that victory was short-lived. Only the names of buildings covered under the petition were deleted, while the fate of non-petitioners remained unclear. And while the residents fought to get that rectified, the government dropped a new bombshell by sending a fresh notice to even the successful petitioners.
About 2 weeks ago, several of the residents again received notices from the Tehsildar's office asking the various societies to show cause as to why the forest entry should not be reinstated because they had received further notice and intimation from Mantralaya. So again, the entire issue is in that sense cropping up. Basically, having succeeded in the Supreme Court, there was no reason for us to again be subjected to this entire inquiry by the revenue authorities. And the matter should have ended there.
And if the legal uncertainty wasn't bad enough, this ruling has had an impact on development in the area as well. Several projects that were launched in the Mulund-Nahur area in the early 2000s have been stalled, with reputed developers including Runwal, Nirmal Lifestyle and Aristo wary of further legal complications.
In 2005, people here started booking the flats and all, and in 2006 there was this forest issue which came up, but again we were not told, because when we went to book our flats, we were not told about this issue. After that also, as I said, we are the direct victims. Till today we are the victims because the builders here around here, they are not starting the projects. They are still not communicating to us.
A decade later, it's still unclear whether the developers are deliberately delaying project to ride out the slump, or are they also entangled in the policy flip-flop.
This is just an excuse. If a builder was a petitioner, then definitely, right, I think from 2014 when the judgment of Supreme Court came, he's free to do what he wants. So where is the question of him not being able to make or deliver or hand over possession?
As things stand, the residents are asking the state to recognize the Supreme Court's order to regularize their land, a move that should also help developers to complete their projects and give more room for the region to grow. In Mumbai, Ashwini Priolker, NDTV.
Well, it seems very complicated as an issue. Dharmesh Jain, Chairman and Managing Director, Nirmal Lifestyle and President, MCHI Credai, and Prakash Padikal, President, the Hillside Residents Welfare Association, are both with me today to find out what's really going on. Dharmesh, my first question is, there's so much confusion about this issue now. Didn't the Supreme Court order clear things up for the developers as well? Why is the government coming out with fresh notices?
So again, Manisha, it's very, very surprising for everybody. In all fairness, we are very clear that this issue has been finally settled by the Supreme Court. Okay. And it's taken 8 long years, and obviously, after elaborate deliberations, both at the High Court level and the Supreme Court level, the issue is clearly finally settled. We are taking it up strongly with the state government, and we are very clear that the issue is finally settled. So there are now 2 issues. One, the petitioners who went to Supreme Court, their cases the state government is clearing. People who have not gone to Supreme Court, they are saying they still need to go case by case, which again, as at least Maharashtra Chamber, we've taken up very strongly that the judgment is very clear that prima facie it addresses the issue and it's not giving specific relief. So all the people in the area should get relief on this. Two, obviously, initially the state government took almost a year or thereabouts to, come to terms with the order and the implementation. What has also happened is that after that, obviously these are old projects, so they needed fresh approvals based on today's rules. So based on that, changes have been effected because of various issues of, the plans were passed as per old rules. There are cases where, so there are multiple complications, and that's where I think everybody's stuck. One point to note is I'm absolutely with the residents that they have, obviously in this clearly suffered. But the only point to make is that clearly nobody is a gainer here, and the developers have also equally suffered in this.
Okay.
So you have situations where people have sold at prices where today the cost is going to be way above whatever was, sold at that time. So it is clearly a fairly messy
Okay.
situation,
So it seems it's
the
messy.
least we would want in this is any further complication from the government.
All right. Prakash Padikal, what's your view? I mean, fresh notices in spite of Supreme Court passing that judgment and saying forest tag has to be taken off. So it is clearly a policy flip-flop, isn't it?
It is totally messing up the thing. The 2014 judgment on 30th of January, it was pronounced by the Supreme Court, which is applicable to everybody, as Dharmesh, my friend Dharmesh has mentioned very clearly. And the association, Builders Association, is also taking it up. It should be, categorically I can say that it is applicable to everybody. And as far as Hirva is concerned, we had covered total of Mullund and Nahur. Almost 100% residents who were living there earlier were covered in the petition. Okay. So now part of it is taken out, and they are issuing notices to those people to prove that whether they are petitioners. And the department itself has given an affidavit in 2010 to the Supreme Court stating the names of each and every individual society where we had paid the net present value. And right. Now where is the question of issuing notices to these people coming again? I was taken aback, totally shocked to see this kind of notices issued to the residents who were represented in the Supreme Court, and which will lead to contempt of court.
So this is actually, it's affecting 2 lakh residents there. It's not a small number. I mean, Mumbai, where there is no land, it's a big issue. Prakash Padikal, what I want to know from here is, it seems to me that developers also are a victim rather than, the guys who are the bad guys in this picture. Yet the residents seem to believe that developers are not communicating with them and are not giving them enough information. Why are they the bad guys here?
You see, they had suffered till 2014.
Okay.
We were traveling in the together in this particular matter, and after getting the judgment, some of the builders I know very clearly has got a permission from the authorities to go ahead with the construction. Dharmesh, by using this platform, your platform of the association, you should not make people suffer further, because 10 years, 11 years is quite a long time for the poor people to take up the things and wait indefinitely. So my request to all the developers to go ahead, whomsoever has booked in this thing, whatever is the little bit of difference, in the area, it is my personal opinion, where you should settle it and you should take it up and deliver the
Okay, let me find out from
tenements.
Dharmesh. And Dharmesh, the biggest grouse is, I think, buyers are just saying that we are left with no communication from the builder. So that's one that you need to tell me what's going on. The second thing is that, yes, to 2014,
Manisha,
the judgment came, and
Manisha,
after that, a lot of you got
I think
approvals. Go ahead, tell me.
Manisha, very, very clearly, I think every here it would be difficult for me to, speak en masse, but I can say that people are communicating, and wherever there is a communication gap, I'm with you that needs to be addressed. So very, very clearly, all for, if there is any further improvement required on communication, certainly there should be improvement on that, and, all for it. All that I'm trying to say is that wherever possible, I think people are pursuing permissions. What we need to also understand is that there are huge amount of things that have changed in the last 10 years as far as the rules are also concerned. So, people have had to go back to the corporation, again apply a fresh set of rules, and, based on that, obviously take fresh approvals. So that is where the time lag has been. But all for, wherever communication can be improved,
Dharmesh, are
they
you saying
should
that
definitely,
these projects haven't
I'm
got
all
the
for
projects
further
which
work
are
being done
stuck
on
haven't
that.
got approvals even now? Under the new DCR norms, are you saying that? So that's one question that I want an answer to. A lot of projects which are stalled by either Nirmal or Ranwal or Aristo haven't got approvals?
So, Manisha, in our case, in most of the cases, we have been able to get approvals, and work has already started in most of the projects where our projects were involved. But as I said, really speaking is individual cases. So hypothetically, at that time, there were different rules for high-rise. So obviously, people who have had to go back to high-rise, go back to environment, it is time-consuming. Okay. So wherever people have had to go back for, elaborate permissions, unfortunately, it is in Mumbai, it is a 2-year process. So if you have to go back to environment, it is a 1.5 to 2-year process. And there is no way you're going to be able to avoid it. So that's the problem, I think, which some of the people might be facing. Luckily, we...
Okay, so here's my request to you, and I'm sure Mr. Padikal will also have the same request. These are buyers who are already worried. We get it that yes, you also have been, it's also not easy to construct at the same cost. You sold it 10 years ago, your money got stuck, and now you have to give the buyer flats at the same rate because you can't charge him a higher amount. So there are issues and complications involved. But communication, can MCHI just for this area put up some communication on their website saying permissions received, construction work ongoing? Something that as a team, can MCHI give buyers here a little bit more clarity?
Manisha, all for it. Certainly, I'll speak to all developers concerned. What we also need to understand is that Mulund is a small part in this entire story. Right. There are projects across Mumbai that are affected by this. And again, I think Prakash has done a great work, and Hirva has done great work on this. And all compliments. As I said, we regularly used to interact, and whatever we could do to further or work on this, we have. And all for this, I'm very happy speaking to the other developers, and we'll see how we can further work on better communication with the customer.
Prakash Padikal, from my point of view, I want to know, which is something that Dharmesh has raised, that we are only talking about Mulund and Nahar area. What about areas like Borivali, Dhaisar, Thane and Kandilveli? I mean, how are residents here fighting this out?
Manisha, they should also get this relief. It has been told to the state very clearly that when a Supreme Court pronounces a judgment, it is applicable to all the citizens of the country. I don't know how they can separate out the what you call petitioners and non-petitioners and all this kind of complications which is brought in. So, the relief should go to everybody, or else those people can approach the High Court and seek the relief, since the Supreme Court order is in place. My one more request to Mr. Dharmesh Jain, my good friend, is that, they should get together and resolve this issue. Many of the residents who had booked are suffering very badly. They approach us, and, permissions, as far as I know, are almost, in most of the cases, it is cleared. Now you should, whatever is little bit, what you want to take towards the construction and all, and clear off. You call those people, discuss with them, and give them the houses what they had booked. This is my request.
A commitment here from the president of MCHI that this will be done, Dharmesh, and thank you very much for coming here and representing not just your own projects and your company, but the industry as a whole. Prakash Padikal, keep the fight on. People like you are the ones who really give buyers that strength to protect their interests. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me.